In 2022, Diddy was sued by Raven Wales Walden, a former nanny who alleged wrongful termination after disclosing her pregnancy in 2020. Wales Walden, who claimed to be a niece of Diddy's late ex-partner Kim Porter, said that she was fired due to pregnancy discrimination. In response, Diddy denied both the claim that Wales Walden was Porter's niece and that any discrimination took place. A spokesperson for Diddy called the lawsuit a meritless shakedown to extort money from Mr. Combs. The case was dropped by the former nanny in April 2024, and this case itself wasn't really a significant step towards the downfall of Diddy, but it once again shows that this is a man who has zero regard for others, their situation, or his legal obligations to look out for them. Once again, Diddy seems like the kind of guy that if he finds you to no longer be of use to serve him, he will discard you like a piece of trash. But thankfully, soon as the dominoes begun to topple, Diddy would go head to head with a partner in one of his most lucrative business ventures, with the ultimate result being an incredible L that saw Diddy lose everything that he had worked for years. On May 31st, 2023, Diddy filed a lawsuit against Diageo, a major British multinational in the alcoholic beverage industry. With over 200 brands, including Johnnie Walker, Guinness, Patron, and Smirnoff, Diageo stands as one of the world's leading giants in the liquor industry. This lawsuit, actually coming from Diddy, would accuse Diageo of racial discrimination, claiming that the company had failed to fulfill commitments within their long-standing partnership. This began in 2007 when Diddy partnered to promote the Ciroc vodka brand, and their partnership would expand in 2014 to include De Leon tequila. Ciroc vodka had made its debut in 2003, crafted by a French entrepreneur, John Sebastian Robiquet, who brought in a deep-rooted family expertise in wine and spirits to the new venture. Now, unlike most vodkas made from grains or potatoes, Ciroc is actually distilled from fine French grapes, a unique approach inspired by winemaking. The name Ciroc combines the French word chim and roche, cime meaning peak and roche meaning rock, a tribute to the high-altitude vineyards in France's Gaillac region where the grapes are sourced. Launched by Diageo, Ciroc was positioned as a premium alternative in the vodka market, offering a fresh take on traditional vodka production. Diddy's relationship with Diageo began as a groundbreaking business move, when in 2007, Diddy entered into a strategic partnership with the company to promote Ciroc vodka, a brand that was struggling to gain traction at the time. And through his influence and brand power, Diddy would transform Ciroc into one of the top-selling vodkas in the US, selling more than 2 million cases a year. By 2014, Diddy and Diageo would expand their partnership to include De Leon tequila, which they jointly owned and promoted. Diddy's influence was pivotal to Ciroc's success, with aggressive marketing strategies and frequent integration of the brand into his music, nightlife, and social media presence.
An exclusive event happening at the Combs estate tonight, sponsored by Voila, the smoothest, the greatest, the best. If you're gonna do it right. You see the palm trees, you see how we out here doing it, and we wanted y'all to all be invited. Countdown has begun. It'll be 2012 in like 6 hours. You know, you're ready, the countdown has begun. But I'm gonna be coming to y'all live, so you know, when you view it, retweet it, let's get it viral, because we're going to rock the new year, baby.
Initially, the partnership was valued at $100 million and structured in a way that allowed Diddy to take a share in the brand's profits. But by the time the lawsuit surfaced, the partnership had been ongoing for nearly 16 years, highlighting the significant role that Diddy had played in Diageo's spirits portfolio. In the lawsuit, Diddy alleged that Diageo systemically treated his brands as urban products, a label that restricted Ciroc and De Leon's distribution and marketing opportunities. He claimed that Diageo typecasted his brands and limited them to certain geographic areas and demographics, which prevented them from reaching the same level of exposure as Diageo's other celebrity-backed products, such as George Clooney's Casamigos tequila. Clooney's brand was actually purchased by Diageo for $1 billion in 2017 and was allegedly prioritized and widely promoted without the same limitations placed on Diddy's brand. Diddy argued that Diageo's failure to invest in Ciroc and De Leon on the same scale as other brands was a clear indication of racial bias. According to the lawsuit, Diageo representatives had used racially discriminatory terms to describe the brands, implying that they were only relevant to specific urban or black consumer markets. Diddy argued that this not only limited their market potential, but also tarnished the brand reputation that he had worked hard to cultivate. Diageo would quickly respond to the lawsuit, categorically denying the accusations of racism, and the company would claim that any disputes in the partnership stemmed purely from business disagreements, and argued that the lack of investment in De Leon was due to Diddy's own reluctance to make necessary contributions himself, apparently not consistently funding De Leon in line with the brand's growth needs, investing only $1,000 while Diageo had invested over $100 million to grow De Leon tequila. Furthermore, Diageo accused Diddy of demanding large payouts whilst threatening to publicly accuse the company of racism. For instance, in May 2021, after Diageo publicly committed $100 million for COVID recovery programs to help pubs and bars resume post-lockdown trade, Diddy allegedly demanded $100 million for himself, warning that he would reach out to every news outlet and burn the house down by accusing Diageo of racial discrimination if they didn't comply. Diddy's attorney John C. Houston would respond by saying Diageo dismissed Diddy's genuine concerns as threats. Had they honored their agreements, Houston argued, we wouldn't be in court today. Diageo denied Diddy's accusations about watermelon tequila and racial stereotyping, asserting that the flavor was actually suggested due to Ciroc Summer Watermelon's big success. They also refuted claims of targeting Ciroc and De Leon as ethnic brands, explaining the urban African-American brand was just a misperception that had been noted by an external consultant. The legal dispute would escalate when in July 2023, a New York Supreme Court judge ordered the unsealing of redacted details from Diddy's lawsuit. These documents revealed a 2021 agreement between Combs and Diageo in which the company reportedly agreed to treat De Leon at least as favorably as their other brands. This agreement, according to Diddy, was evidence that Diageo had acknowledged past failures in not supporting De Leon, but had not made good on their promises. The unsealed documents also included internal communications that Diddy claimed were indicative of racial bias, though the specific language used in these communications was not publicly released. The documents intensified the media's focus on the case and added a layer of scrutiny regarding Diageo's handling of celebrity partnerships, especially those with minority figures. After months of legal back and forths, Diddy and Diageo would reach a settlement in January 2024, and as part of the agreement, Diddy basically withdrew his lawsuit and severed ties with Diageo, ending a 16-year partnership that had transformed both Ciroc and De Leon into major names in the spirit industry. But according to the settlement terms, Diageo had acquired full ownership of both Ciroc vodka and De Leon tequila, with no further public comments from either party on the financial details or specific conditions of the agreement. The lawsuit and subsequent settlement would spark a broader conversation about race and representation in the spirits industry. Diageo shares actually dropped 20% over the year, and the company hoped that announcing its settlement with Diddy would clear the cloud of uncertainty affecting its stock. While we might never know the actual details of this potential payout, in reality, it's possible that this result was actually a monumental loss for Diddy, who despite years of promoting black ownership and his business acumen, ultimately wound out with no ownership in these brands, no stake in Ciroc, and nothing to do with these huge brands that he had spent over a decade building up. And it's highly possible that round about this time, Diddy ended up in a very weak negotiating position as a result of the brewing storm in his personal life, making any brand association with him completely terminal and toxic. And with their separation finalized, things seemed to finally settle for Diddy, but it was only the calm before the storm, because just as the dust from the Diageo lawsuit would settle, Diddy's reputation would face a critical hit when in November, a new lawsuit emerged that would turn his whole world upside down. The public fallout from the Diageo lawsuit was barely settling when on November the 16th, 2023, Diddy faced another explosive scandal, this time from his former girlfriend, singer Cassie Ventura. Cassie filed a federal lawsuit in New York alleging years of severe abuse throughout their on and off relationship, which began in 2006 when she was just 19 and when Diddy was 37. Cassie's lawsuit, filed under New York's Adult Survivors Act, brought forth shocking accusations that shook the music and entertainment industries. Cassie alleged that shortly after signing with Bad Boy Records, Diddy exerted complete control over her life, creating an environment where she felt trapped and isolated.
Everybody meet Cassie. We're gonna get down to some business about just so we can be on the same page of what the plan is, as far as from Tommy's concerned, and from where we're concerned as also a label and Warner Atlantic. So everybody's on the same page. So when he was doing that, I heard he also had a young lady that was with him named Cassie that had a record out. And I started hearing this record that was haunting me in the clubs. And it was, it was Cassie's record. And I would hear it everywhere I was at. When I saw her and I met her and I saw this DVD on her, hopefully we could play that. That's what kind of made me like really fall in love with the project, because I saw something more than just records. I saw something that there was a personality there. There was something that, the whole world could fall in love with.
Cassie claimed that Diddy not only controlled her career, but also restricted her personal life, ensuring that she was wholly dependent on him and unable to break free from his influence. Cassie's account described Diddy's influence as suffocating, painting a picture of a power dynamic where she felt there was no escape. In her lawsuit, Cassie detailed a history of physical, sexual and emotional abuse that spanned nearly a decade. The most severe of these allegations included an incident in 2018 where she claimed that Diddy actually hit her. She described this event as the culmination of years of intimidation and manipulation, alleging that Diddy used his power and influence to repeatedly harm her without any fear of consequence. Cassie further alleged that Diddy pressured her into engaging in sexual acts with male escorts while he watched, often under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Cassie described how Diddy coerced her into these encounters, sometimes drugging her beforehand and allowing her to disassociate from these encounters and leaving her unable to fully consent or resist. This pattern of manipulation, Cassie argued, was Diddy's method of asserting control and further isolating her from any support network. One particularly notable accusation involved Diddy's alleged interference with her relationship with rapper Kid Cudi. According to Cassie, when she expressed interest in pursuing a relationship with Cudi, Diddy grew so jealous and livid, he retaliated by orchestrating the blowing up of Cudi's car. And Kid Cudi, through a representative, would later confirm that his car had indeed been destroyed in an incident that aligned with Cassie's timeline and accusations. Diddy's response to the lawsuit was swift, adamant. He vehemently denied all accusations, claiming that Cassie had attempted to extort him for $30 million before filing the suit. His legal team framed the lawsuit as a calculated attempt to smear his reputation and extort a financial settlement and commit blatant blackmail. Despite Diddy's defense, the allegations swiftly attracted intense media scrutiny, leading fans and critics alike to question his public image and past. But in a surprising turn, Diddy and Cassie would reach a settlement just one day after the lawsuit's filing. The terms were undisclosed, but Cassie requested a dismissal of the case with prejudice, meaning that she would not be able to refile her claims. Diddy's lawyer emphasized that the settlement did not imply guilt, while Cassie stated that the settlement allowed her some level of control over a deeply personal and traumatic chapter in her life. Cassie's lawsuit, though quickly settled, was pivotal as it opened the door for even more allegations against Diddy. Her case put a spotlight on Diddy's alleged history of abuse, prompting others to come forward. By the time Cassie's case concluded, it had set off a chain reaction, inspiring a wave of public statements and additional lawsuits that scrutinized Diddy's past relationships and professional conduct. Legal experts noted that her lawsuit, filed under the Adult Survivors Act, could serve as a catalyst for other survivors who had been silenced by time constraints under previous statutes of limitations. Diddy would post on Instagram denying the sexual misconduct allegations that had started to come out, vowing to fight the allegations and clear his name. But just months after Cassie's explosive lawsuit, the case took a disturbing turn when video evidence surfaced, adding weight to her allegations. On May 17, 2024, CNN released footage showing Diddy violently assaulting Cassie in a hotel hallway in Los Angeles. Just 2 days after the footage went public, Cassie took to Instagram to address the video, and in a heartfelt post, she described the enduring impact of domestic violence on her life, stating that the abuse had broken her and left her in a permanent state of recovery. She expressed gratitude for the support that she had received, but emphasized that healing from such trauma was an ongoing battle for her. Her post underscored the emotional scars left by years of alleged abuse, giving voice to the pain that she had endured in silence. Celebrities took to Twitter in shock after viewing the graphic footage, with many expressing outrage and calling out Diddy for the brutality that he displayed in this assault on Cassie. And I'd personally like to express my own feelings about seeing this. Domestic violence is unacceptable in any context, whether against a man or a woman. But what we saw in that video was disgusting on another level. That was more than just domestic violence. The way that he beat her, kicked her defenseless body on the floor, and tried to drag her back to the room, it was like something out of a horror film, and really drove home just how depraved and disgusting Diddy is as a man. And to do this to a defenseless woman is unforgivable. And furthermore, Diddy's initial denial of these accusations against him, contrasted with the stark reality of his character as we saw him behaving in the video, is sickening. This was the final nail in the coffin for Diddy's reputation, and there's no way that anybody could ever believe a word that comes out of his mouth after this. Just think of the contrast between his lie of a lie, the manufactured and projected image that he puts out, compared to how he was truly behaving, just says it all. When I saw that video, it made me believe nearly every accusation against him for the last 33 years. Not only that, but it made me wonder just how much worse could he have behaved behind closed doors when the cameras were off. This is no way for a man to behave, and this is not somebody who should ever be on the streets again. Not just because of that, but because of what it says about him, in combination with all of the stories that we've heard about him over the years. He's no good. Diddy would issue a statement actually addressing this incident. In a video he posted to Instagram, he expressed regret over his actions, acknowledging that his behavior had been unacceptable.
My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted, but I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
However, his apology received mixed reactions. While some saw it as an attempt to take accountability, most criticized the timing, arguing that his apology only came after undeniable evidence had been released. Critics, including Cassie's lawyers, questioned whether the apology was sincere or merely damage control in response to the backlash that he had faced.
Well, Cassie Ventura's team, they put out a statement. They do not buy this video. They say in part, Combs' most recent statement is more about himself than the many people he has hurt. When Cassie and multiple other women came forward, he denied everything and suggested that his victims were looking for a payday. They go on to say that he was only compelled to apologize once his repeated denials were proven false.
The apology video, while brief, was widely circulated and added further fuel to the controversy surrounding Diddy's legacy and behavior. The release of this footage marked a significant moment in Cassie's case, shifting public perception in a way that very few allegations alone could have achieved. The video evidence served as a powerful testament to the abuse that Cassie had described, bringing her words to life, reinforcing the severity and accuracy of her claims. It reignited discussions on domestic violence, particularly within high-profile relationships, and emphasized the challenges that victims face when seeking justice against influential figures. For Diddy, the footage was a critical critical blow to his reputation. Once known as a titan in the music industry, his image was now marred by the undeniable evidence of physical abuse, and the video added another layer of credibility to Cassie's allegations, making it much harder for Diddy to simply dismiss her claims as part of a smear campaign or extortion attempt, as he had previously suggested. Diddy did it. He said he didn't do it, we saw him do it. The footage continued to circulate on social media and news outlets, leaving an indelible impact on public opinion and intensifying calls for accountability. As the legal proceedings moved forward, the footage would stand as one of the most damning pieces of evidence against Diddy in his career, complicating any efforts that he might try to rebuild his public image. But for Cassie, this exposure represented a vindication of her claims and a step towards reclaiming her narrative, empowering her and other survivors who face similar struggles. And soon, more explosive accusations would land on Diddy, further tearing down this facade that he had projected to the public for decades. In a shocking development that emerged just months after Cassie Ventura's explosive lawsuit, Rodney Lil Rod Jones Jr., a Chicago-based music producer, would file a federal lawsuit against Diddy. This lawsuit would accuse Diddy of running a criminal enterprise involving drugs, guns, sexual exploitation of minors, escalating the scrutiny on Diddy's lifestyle and alleged misconduct to scary new heights. According to USA Today, Lil Rod claimed that his professional relationship with Diddy quickly spiraled into a disturbing environment of coercion, manipulation, and abuse. Lil Rod's lawsuit paints a harrowing picture of his time working with Diddy on the Love album Off the Grid in 2022. What apparently begun as a standard music production gig allegedly devolved into a nightmare, as Lil Rod accused Diddy of forcibly touching him, attempting and/or threatening to make further advances, and using his power to coerce Lil Rod into acts that he did not consent to. Diddy allegedly exploited his control over Lil Rod by not only forcing him to procure drugs and arrange encounters with workers, including minors, also recording these encounters. The lawsuit claims that Diddy's threats of violence kept Lil Rod in constant fear, forcing him into compliance despite his discomfort. The lawsuit also extended accusations to Diddy's close associates, including his son Justin Dior Combs and Christina Karam, Diddy's chief of staff at Combs Global Enterprises. Lil Rod alleged that Justin and Christina actively participated in what he described as a venture where they solicited workers, some even being underage, and provided women with Deleon liquor laced with ecstasy before subjecting them to degrading acts in Diddy's presence. This alleged criminal enterprise involved multiple members of Diddy's circle, each tasked with roles designed to serve Diddy's purported desires. According to Lil Rod, Stevie J, a Grammy Award-winning producer and longtime associate of Bad Boy Records, was also involved. The lawsuit claims that Diddy exploited Lil Rod's admiration for Stevie J to groom him, even sharing a video that allegedly showed Stevie J in an explicit act with another man. This manipulation, according to the lawsuit, was part of Diddy's coercive tactics to maintain control over Lil Rod. One particularly disturbing allegation in Lil Rod's lawsuit involved an encounter on Thanksgiving Day 2022 at Diddy's Miami residence. Lil Rod claimed that Diddy, while intoxicated, offered him cocaine which he declined before heading to the restroom. While in the restroom, a cousin of Young Miami, who is Diddy's ex-girlfriend, allegedly entered and began groping Lil Rod, performing oral on him without consent. Lil Rod reportedly pushed her away and left the restroom, but she pursued him into the open space, attempting to straddle him in front of Diddy and his staff. This incident, caught on video, underscored the atmosphere of forced encounters and coercion that Lil Rod described as pervasive throughout his time working with Diddy. Lil Rod's lawsuit also implicated other public figures, including actor Cuba Gooding Jr., who allegedly groped him during a yacht party hosted by Diddy. Photos surfaced showing Diddy and Gooding together shortly before the alleged assault, further fueling speculation about the conduct at these high-profile gatherings, with another picture being presented in the lawsuit purporting to have been taken during the alleged assault. Beyond the assault allegations, Lil Rod also named industry executives as defendants in the lawsuit, such as Universal Music Group CEO Lucian Grange, and Ethiopia Haptemariam, the former CEO of Motown Records, which is the parent company of Diddy's Love Records. These accusations would suggest a broader network of complicity within the entertainment industry, bringing into question the accountability of executives who were indirectly connected with the alleged action. Lil Rod would claim that he lived at Diddy's home for nearly a year while working on the Love album, a period marked by continuous intimidation and manipulation. He would allege that he's often subjected to threats of violence if he refused to comply with Diddy's demands. In the lawsuit, Lil Rod states that he feared for his life after a violent altercation at the studio involving Diddy, his son Justin Combs, and an unidentified African-American male referred to as only G. This altercation would ultimately lead to G being shot. The lawsuit claims that Diddy then gave explicit instructions to tell the police that he had no involvement in the shooting, and pressured Lil Rod to lie to the authorities by stating that G had been shot in a drive-by while standing outside the studio. Afterwards, Lil Rod Rod would reportedly become a target of both Stevie J and Love Records A&R DeForest Taylor, who according to the lawsuit sent him threatening messages after Lil Rod publicly requested that Diddy compensate him fairly for his work. This intimidation came in response to Lil Rod's decision to go public with his grievances, calling on Diddy to do the right thing and pay him. Moreover, in the lawsuit, Lil Rod claims that he was forced to watch as Diddy displayed his guns and bragged about getting away with shooting people. This actually led to Diddy apparently admitting that he was responsible for the shooting in the nightclub that got Shine 10 years in prison, as we covered earlier in this video. Diddy allegedly used these stories to further intimidate Lil Rod, reinforcing a sense of power that left him feeling trapped. The lawsuit went into extensive detail about the roles of other members of Diddy's circle in maintaining this alleged criminal enterprise. Stevie J, allegedly responsible for recruiting sex workers and participating in freak-offs. Justin Combs, allegedly soliciting prostitutes and underage girls while also participating in Diddy's gatherings. Brendan Paul, accused of serving as Diddy's mule and handling drugs and firearms. Frankie Santella allegedly assisted Brendan by carrying cash for gun and drug transactions. Moy Bourne allegedly hired sex workers and attended freak-offs with Diddy. Christina Coram, likened to the role of Ghislaine Maxwell in the operation, facilitating arrangements and acting as the central coordinator. Jose Cruz, Diddy's IT specialist, who allegedly recorded incriminating acts while maintaining a low digital profile to avoid detection. Lil Rod would further explain that speaking out against Diddy had severely impacted his financial stability, leaving him without a reliable source of income and struggling to cover his monthly expenses. He expressed how the decision to pursue justice had led to what he feels is an industry-wide blackballing, isolating him professionally and causing significant emotional distress, including prolonged periods of suicidal thoughts. Music, he shared, has been his only lifeline. Lil Rod would state that he had a completed album ready for release, but he lacked the financial means to market or distribute it. He noted that industry figures appeared reluctant to associate with him, likely due to the legal controversies surrounding Diddy uploading a GoFundMe video explaining his plight.
I apologize to anyone this video may be embarrassing to. Let's just jump right into it. Some of you may know me or may not. I'm a music producer who's a writer and musician, different genres. I started in the gospel and jazz and R&B and worked my way over to the hip hop side. I've been working on an album. I took a year off straight working on this album. That album is the Love album, Off the Grid by Diddy. And it's Grammy nominated right now as we speak. I should be celebrating, but the truth is I'm not. Taking this album on has required so much time, months and at a time, 16 hours to 24 hours a day. Sometimes, Diddy will request certain works to be done and tell us don't go to sleep until it's done. And the truth is we'll be up for days trying to accomplish that. I've tried to get my business straight with them on this album, but the truth is they're not playing fair. They hit me on below the belt on so many situations. Just dealing with this. It's the contract that they give me and the offer that they gave me was just disgusting. The producer fee, pennies, and on top of that, these guys are trying to steal my publishing. I can't go for that, so I'm fighting back. He's a fighter, but I'm going to put in this fight. I got to do it for myself, my rights, and most importantly, my kids. Taking my publishing or stealing it I'm not going to let that happen. From me, I've missed holidays with my family, just out working on this album. At what point I was running around with the hard drives, the computer, just to run the ball on this album, to finish the production on it, and make sure that this album came to, a good project with good vibes, just where it is right now. And just to be offered little to no participation in this is highly disrespectful. I won't be that guy 20, 30 years from now looking back saying, I wish I'd done this. I'm going to do this now. Doing this situation is not easy. Taking Puff to court, suing him is not easy. I don't have the monies that it's going to take to fight him in court. So I'm just asking, if you're in support, please. The link is in my bio to my GoFundMe. The money will go towards my attorney fees and to just make sure I'm keeping my head above water during the process. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
In response to the lawsuit, Diddy's attorney dismissed Lil Rod's claims as pure fiction, accusing him of seeking media attention and a quick settlement. I guess like a couple of other dozen lawsuits where Diddy said the same thing. According to the attorney, Lil Rod failed to plead to the most basic facts, such as where and when any purported instance of assault occurred or what allegedly transpired. I mean, the paperwork looked pretty clear to me, maybe you can't read. Should the case proceed to trial, it could reveal further details about Diddy's private life and the internal dynamics of his business ventures. This new wave of accusations underscores a recurring theme in recent recent cases against powerful figures in entertainment, with a growing focus on exposing abuse of power and the hidden layers of celebrity influence. Following Lil Rod's accusations, on October 16, 2024, two major record labels, Universal Music Group and Motown Records, would fight back against claims that they were complicit in funding Diddy's alleged drug-fueled sex trafficking operations. They would demand sanctions against New York attorney Tyrone T.A. Blackburn and his client Rodney Lil Rod Jones, who had sued Diddy earlier in February. In the suit filed, Lil Rod had alleged that he was by Diddy and forced to engage in sexual acts with prostitutes. Blackburn's lawsuit had also implicated UMG and Motown, accusing them of knowingly financing Diddy's illicit activities. According to Blackburn, the labels were aware that Diddy's lifestyle involved heavy drug use, misconduct, and illegal activities, and yet still supported him financially through a business partnership with his Love Records label in 2022. But the labels would fire back, calling the allegations meritless and saying that Blackburn was litigating the case in bad faith. They would argue that their connection to Diddy was purely contractual, with no involvement in his personal dealings, and would request sanctions to deter similar cases. Diddy's attorney, Erica Wolf, would also back the labels, accusing Blackburn of unprofessional conduct and exploiting the legal system to promote himself. In response, Blackburn would reveal that he had met with federal prosecutors 9 times regarding Diddy's criminal case, hinting that a superseding indictment could soon implicate more individuals tied to Diddy's alleged. But because the legal battle is still ongoing, US District Judge J. Paul Oatken would refrain from ruling on the motion for sanctions, while Diddy's defense team would seek to dismiss Lil Rod's complaint, labeling it an exaggerated attempt to turn a business dispute into a criminal conspiracy. Ultimately, on September 17, 2024, the music would stop, as Diddy was charged with and other offences a little while after a dramatic raid on his properties. After 34 years of pain inflicted on countless people, it seems that it's finally time for Diddy to face justice. While the accusations in this indictment are seemingly just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the alleged criminal activities of Diddy, it's good to see that this man, who believed that he was above the law for so long, finally getting his comeuppance. In the course of making this video, it only strengthened my beliefs that Diddy is one of, if not the most dangerous man to ever come from the hip-hop culture. There's been killers, gangsters, and abusers in hip-hop plenty of times, but for this man to build an empire of criminality, abusing the court system, and using his vast wealth to silence good people just doesn't sit right with me. I'm somebody with a strong sense of morals and an understanding of what's truly right and wrong, and from everything that I've learned about Diddy, it's my belief that this man is a genuine psychopath, who from decades of never being told no, always getting what he wants, and avoiding responsibility every time, thinks he can do whatever he wants. Diddy doesn't believe in consent. He thinks that he's a god, and that you should be lucky to even be in his presence. He's somebody who thinks he can do anything to you, and you should just sit there and take it, because he's the almighty Diddy. I personally think he's an absolutely abhorrent person. His image and legacy is completely tarnished, and he's likely to go down as hip-hop's Harvey Weinstein. After everything he's achieved, all the hit records, all the money he's made, all of the alcohol, cheap clothes, and other junk businesses that he's hocked, he will ultimately be remembered for being an abuser, a snake, a creep, and I honestly hope that he spends the rest of his life in prison. Because really, a world without Diddy on the streets is a safer and better world for everyone in it. I hope you found this video interesting. If you want to see more about Diddy, let me know in the comments. And if this video does well, I'll be back with a couple more exposés on Diddy. We'll be following the case closely, and when more facts come out, I'll be sure to bring you a full breakdown. But until then, my thoughts and prayers are with the victims and the families that suffered at the hands of Diddy for decades.